This video right here is probably going to lose me a lot of potential sponsorships. Why? Because I'm going to show you what you actually need to use when it comes to artificial intelligence and software for your business or your personal life. This entire video is not sponsored. Not a single one of these softwares has paid me a single dime. Therefore, everything I'm about to say right now is authentic. And you don't have to worry about feeling like I am leading you down the wrong path. Welcome back to OpenAPI, y'all. Today, we're going to be jumping into a video where we're going to be checking out this, diagram here. I did a short form version of this, but in my short form content, I try to add a little bit more humor. This one, I'm going to get more like nitty gritty on this one. We're going to go into like very specifics on all this different software you see behind me when it comes to AI. That being said, let me be clear on a couple things. First thing I want to be clear on, this is only going to cover software that truly is embodying artificial intelligence. E.g., I'm not going to bring up software like Klaviyo or MailChimp, which helps with email marketing. Of course, you probably need that in your business. But in this video, we're just going to go over stuff that actually has artificial intelligence integrated with it. So your first question might be, wait, what software are you even using right now? I'm using TLDraw. I've honestly never used this software before, but it's leap years ahead of the original whiteboard that I used to use. So I'm going to go ahead and just play around with this a little bit more. Your second question might be, how did you learn about this? One of my followers here, longtime follower here, Harvey, let me know about it. So shout out to Harvey for letting me know about this. I'm going to try it out. It looks super cool. It looks super good. Let's go ahead and jump into today's video. Okay, so the name of the game when it comes to business is lowering our bottom line, therefore getting the most return possible every single month. Let's make some money. Knowing that, a big thing in our industry, kind of what happened to the video game industry, is like they just completely bombarded it with subscription services, video games, in-app purchases. Every video game feels like an in-app, a mobile game now. But in the context of business and artificial intelligence, now it kind of feels like, okay, I want to allocate maybe $150 a month of budget towards subscription services. Which ones do I choose that are going to give me the highest return on investment long term? That being said, I'm not going to talk about stuff like Shopify or Webflow. I'm talking about this stuff right here and stuff that is not even included on this diagram when it comes to artificial intelligence. So let's just jump into this, step by step here of what we care about here. First things first, I don't mean to beat a dead horse here, but you're going to need some form of automation software. Automation software allows you to allocate labor to software. Therefore, you don't have to pay an employee or W-2 someone and deal with all the implications of that. You need automation software. Plus, no one wants to be up at 3 a.m. to handle some tasks that would have been triggered by some flow. So you're going to need something like Zapier, Make, Pipedream, whatever it may be. Me personally, I use Zapier. Why do you use Zapier, Corbin? I use Zapier because the user interface looks good. So if I'm going to use a platform and I'm going to use it for hours, I want to use something that is aesthetically pleasing to my eyes. They have a lot of innovative features, e.g. tables and interfaces. This allows us to expand our abilities when it comes to automation past just automation itself. And finally, they integrate with a ton of apps, e.g. over 6,000 apps. Second question might be, why do we care if it integrates with so many apps? Alternative ways of integrating apps, if you work with a platform that doesn't integrate with as many apps, it causes you to have to learn how to do more complex automations that includes coding, webhooks, push-pulls. On top of that, it can even get even crazier where you have to set up external servers to handle access tokens. If that sounds like a bunch of heebie-jeebie, go Zapier. Oh, he's sponsored by Zapier. Check the description down below. I don't have any affiliate links, y'all. This is all coming from him, genuinely coming from my experience. So first thing you need, automation software. That is non-negotiable, because what's great about automation software is it allows us to integrate artificial intelligence into these flows. So when you use other softwares that aren't inclined or use artificial intelligence like MailChimp, now we can actually integrate artificial intelligence into that, giving it basically us the possibility to expand our breadth when it comes to effectiveness and mitigating labor associated with different tasks in our company. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead. This is gonna be all of us right here. I asked ChatGPT to make a Pixar version of my profile image of YouTube. For some reason, it didn't like AirPods, so it just went with these the wired ones, the OG ones. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom myself out, and we're gonna go ahead and add our first piece of software, which is going to be some automation software. So let me go ahead and type this out. Oh, we got notes now. Ooh, okay. Automation software. I'm gonna zoom in, y'all. Automation software. So let's actually kind of dive into this a little bit more. If you're interested, so the two big players in this, and I I can't make that bigger, y'all. Two main big. Oh, let me see. This is my first time using this, y'all. Let me know in the comments down below. I don't know how to make that bigger. The point is automation software. So if you want to actually see a comparison between the two major players in this industry, which is Zapier and Make, go ahead and check out that video up there. I dive in. It's like a 30-minute plus video giving you the pros and cons of which ones to choose and why you would choose it, as there are pros and cons associated with each software. But as my little Pixar version of me has, first off, we're starting with an automation software. Now you're looking at a bottom line of either free, but realistically, once you start scaling and actually start leveraging the platform more, you're looking at a bare minimum of 20 USD a month. Let's jump back over to our diagram. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. Okay, we're zooming in. All right, so we have identified the fundamental thing when it comes to AI automation. Next, let's go ahead and just start knocking out some of these like we're playing bowling. Personally, this entire marketing category, at least from my experience up to this point, is not relevant and is not needed. That being said, I encourage anyone in the comments down below, give your input on if you see a software platform on here that you really like using that I didn't talk about, or a software platform that isn't on here that you use and I didn't talk about. Let me know in the comments. But personally, from a business perspective, all of this is not needed. Why? Because we can really just leverage OpenAI and Zapier, or OpenAI and Make, or OpenAI and whatever context it may be, and do stuff that is provided as value for marketing. Avidazen. Okay, coming over to customer support. From my experience, Zendesk, not really too much AI going on there. I mean, if you're gonna pick a main competitor, there's Zendesk. So moving on from here, Zendesk would probably be the best for customer support from my experience, y'all. Productivity, you really don't have to pay for anything on productivity. So Notion's great. That honestly, that's a personal preference. For me, I just use notes and stickies and stuff of this nature. Design's cool. So what Photoshop, and you see those little clips like on TikTok or whatever social media feed you use past YouTube, you see those little clicks like, oh, Photoshop now does AI and all this crazy stuff. Honestly, it's if you knew how to use Photoshop before, that stuff's not really that impressive because you could already do that already. They made the barrier of entry to do certain types of edits easier, I suppose. That being said, though, in this context, if you just want to gimme, obviously we're gonna go with Canva here. Why we're gonna go with Canva is completely free, and you can do most of what you could do in Photoshop. With that being said, though, personally, I use Photoshop. I've been using it for like 10 years now, maybe 9. So I'm just a Photoshop loyalist now, but I'm really good at it. Go with whatever you're comfortable with. Photoshop does cost money. Canva is free. Proceed from there. This kind of stuff I'm not even gonna touch because AI is not really that integrated into it. So whatever's in your systems already, proceed. Okay, software engineering and code gen. What I'm about to say right now may or may not be controversial for people that do this, but me personally, you can do this off ChatGPT. You could either make a GPT that is specialized for it, or alternatively custom instructions, or alternatively just know how to talk to it. Personally, I'm gonna just wrap it all up into I could do everything that's provided here in ChatGPT. That might get some hate. I'm just coming from experience. ChatGPT, 20 USD a month, proceed. So knowing that, we come over to what we have for AI. ChatGPT, Anthropic, Perplexity, You, Google Bard, Poe. Here's how I view them. Personally, Google Bard, I see that more in the direction and movement towards a quote-unquote new search engine. I did one video on it, and my experience and the way I was playing with it was kind of like, okay, so this isn't necessarily like a ChatGPT where it feels more broad in the sense of like niching down real quick. This feels just like an advancement or upgraded version of just Google search. That's how I view it. Next, two major players here. You're going to do ChatGPT and Anthropic. ChatGPT is also a given. So with this diagram over here, what I'm making is basically the givens, e.g. stuff you got to pay for no matter what, because of the fact that if you don't pay for it, you're actually at a disadvantage within the market, / you're just undercutting your ability to grow as a business. Therefore, numero uno, or I'll just speak German, zwei. Numero uno is number one in Spanish, my bad, is going to be ChatGPT, which is not this box. And what do you mean ChatGPT? I mean ChatGPT Plus. This is it's just mandatory, y'all. If you're not even running a business, mandatory. If you are running a business, mandatory. Why is it mandatory? Trust me, y'all. This thing is so It's become too normalized. What can be achieved with ChatGPT Plus, which couldn't be achieved 2 years ago, is it's become too normalized. I can tell you with full certainty and full confidence that if they charged me $500 a month to use ChatGPT Plus, I would pay $500 to use ChatGPT Plus. Some of you might be saying, "Whoa, what do you mean? What do you mean? That sounds preposterous." You're just not leveraging it correctly if you think that was a preposterous statement. This thing is so powerful that everything from here on out we're so desensitized to what this can do now that everything from here on out is not going to seem like too much of a leap forward. Like the next kaboom moment is going to be AGI, but when AGI incurs, we're going to be so desensitized that it's going to be a month of kaboom, and then we're going to be like, oh yeah, robots are sentient. It is what it is. So I'm telling you right now, I don't care how old you are. I don't care what you do. This is so pertinent and so valuable that it's beyond just business and personal life. This is just straight up, you are going to be more productive and save more time on anything. Knowing that, automation, ChatGPT, and we're going to go ahead and pair this as well because it just works together, is OpenAI API. So, not OpenAI, no, okay, OpenAI API. Why? Sign up for both, do it pronto. Think about it. Right now, I'm not too sure. Let me know in the comments. But they did stop people from buying ChatGPT Plus. Like they withheld people from subscribing to the service because of the influx of volume associated with said service. Knowing that, with anything in life, this is actually quite literally ChatGPT's birthday today. So it's only been out for a year, quite literally a year. Therefore, at least just put your email in. At least put your email in to start an OpenAI dev account or dashboard account. Why? Because years from now, it might get more gatekeeped. It might get harder to get access to. Whatever it may be, get ahead of it. Anthropic, I am still playing around with this personally, but from my experience, I see this more as a play of not the front end UI ChatGPT where I'm just talking to it like a, like a chatbot. I see this more in the context of accessing its API to handle data, summarize data, format data, stuff of this nature. It's cheaper than OpenAI's API, but this is all relative as OpenAI's API. When I say OpenAI's API, by the way, that means basically accessing the abilities of artificial intelligence to integrate it into other softwares, e.g., making an email and then pushing that towards Gmail, text to speech, sending a file to a webhook, and then it tells me what is in that image. So this is basically our ability to leverage its power in other contexts for API. ChatGPT itself already is very powerful, right? Knowing this, let's go ahead and jump over to some other options here. We got visual avatars, autonomous agents, voice, video creation, 3D. So visual avatars, my experience, Cynthia is really good at this. At the end of this video, you're actually going to see an example of a Cynthia video that I did months ago now, but that just gives you perspective. You can actually create your own avatar on it. Obviously, with all technology, it's going to get better and better. That right there is really just up to preference. It does integrate with automation softwares, which is really cool. So in theory, you can automatically create video content with automation and AI, e.g., every single day, put out a video that says XYZ, and it actually is in video format, and it could possibly be you as well. From my experience on all this different options of voice, I would go with 11 Labs, autonomous agents. Personally, I've actually never really used these that much, but what I will say this, and this might be a little bit of a tangent, so tangent incoming, alert, alert, tangent incoming. This right here is the next thing. So obviously VR, AR, that's going to have its role. Personally, I'm not going to develop for that. I am going to use it. I will use it in the future, of course. I think one cool thing about that is just the ability. Now, this stuff is really expensive. I'm going to say that right now. Like, I don't think I'm going to get the first headset that Apple puts out. I mean, that thing is like an arm and a leg. But saying that, I do see the value, right? In the long term, I'm going to be add monitors, whatever it may be. Autonomous agents, though. Woo! Y'all, this is it. This right here is basically going to be, now I'm not saying any of these guys specifically, like these three right here. I'm just saying as a general term of what it means, this is huge. So the idea here would be, so everyone knows Bitcoin, or maybe not everyone, but Bitcoin mining was what? You get a bunch of hardware and you'd set it up to do complex problems so it can get payouts from Bitcoin, right? Very simplistic version of it. I already know some crypto bro is going to go in the comments saying, oh, da, 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 da. Chill out. Point is that Bitcoin mining was dependent and pertinent on hardware, autonomous agents, local language learning models, e.g., LLMs. These two are going to be paired together, and these two are going to be very, very powerful. Now, I got into a discussion with one of my viewers here about the potential of this, as it's all still early days. I even made a tweet on it. But the idea here is this: you get two pieces of hardware, really max out the specs. Let's just make them basically monsters. Hardware, as in hardware, hardware machine one, hardware machine two. In those two machines, you add a language learning model. Okay, perfect. So we got maybe ChatGPT 4 here, ChatGPT 4 here in two different machines. So right now, when we communicate to ChatGPT, it is human to machine. That's how I get my answers. Therefore, that can continue the conversation. In the context that we have two machines, we can do machine to machine, ChatGPT to ChatGPT, talking to each other. And when they talk to each other, that means we can have perpetual conversation in context, because instead of me typing in the information, now ChatGPT is talking to other ChatGPT. Sounds crazy, but this is why I see this as being huge. And honestly, when I get to the point where I can invest in this kind of stuff, I want to make some videos on this because this is super cool. Super cool stuff, y'all. This is what people have been looking for. So the idea would be, let's just do a very simple use case that everyone can understand. Two LLMs, simple use case. We have them both have the objective and trained on. And by the time you get to this, right, the models will be even better. Objectively, we have them both trained on and both with the overall goal to trade in markets. How do we trade markets? Alpaca API is one example. E.g., we use a software that allows us to access trading markets like the NASDAQ and SPY with API calls. First step. Okay, so now we gave both LLMs the ability to access markets with API. What's the next step? We connect it to a financial institution, e.g., a bank account that is loaded with money. Then from there, we tell both LLMs to refine and proceed. Obviously, we need to train and then proceed. Now, that being said, it would probably be best to use this in the context of crypto markets because they're 24/7. But regardless, that right there, that little like divot is extremely powerful, y'all. Long term, this will be applied to other contexts, e.g., I work for a company that makes me do slide decks for investors. I have these two LLMs set to be fine-tuned and refined to where, hey, can you make me a slide pitch for XYZ? I go to sleep, and 2 hours later, it made me the perfect slide pitch. Beyond that, as I said, tangent. So that was a tangent, but that's something cool you should know that's coming up in the industry. All right, next thing is video creation. Oh, Pika Labs is here. Pika Labs, really cool. Runway, really cool. Runway, you can do it for free. Limited amount of credits, gotta pay. Pika Labs, not too sure. I know they have a wait list. I did a video on that like 2-3 days ago. Check it out. Loom, side note, really good if you want to be a content creator and just get an early start. Really good back end. I'd say long term though, switch to OBS, switch to using TikTok as an editor as well. Image creation, DALL-E 3, which is included in ChatGPT, amazing. Midjourney, solid, but honestly, DALL-E 3 is starting to, personally, I think it's starting to overtake it for the value you're getting, because DALL-E, do you want to basically pay $20 a month flat to ChatGPT and do unlimited image generation, or do you want to pay Midjourney XYZ a month and only have the ability to generate images? You tell me. So knowing that, if we come back over to our little avatar here, at a bottom line, and if you already saw my short form content, you already knew this, but at a bottom line, we are not doing that. On a bottom line, we are dealing with just two major subscriptions. Your two major subscriptions can basically encompass the majority of operations that are typically associated with, oh my gosh, y'all. I'm still learning this. Majority of the operations that are typically associated with a business. That being said, though, and that kind of looks like a heart. That being said, though, your business might be different. Your business may need the legal side of stuff. So there may be little sprouts here of alternative softwares. But before you take that leap of adding that additional software, I encourage you and I implore you to see if it can be done with automation software and some type of artificial intelligence. Because a lot of the times, a lot of these softwares are basically can do the ability of like they have their quote unquote value point, but you could still do it within automation and AI. It just may require you to build out a specific flow for it. Knowing that, that kind of concludes today's video. I just wanted to make this because basically right now in the market, there is a ton of artificial intelligence tools. Kind of feels like the .com again, but who knows? I think there's a lot of stuff that could be done, a lot of value to be taken here, but people can get overwhelmed and people can be like, okay, I don't want to pay $300 a month on 6 different tools. That can get annoying. So I made this video just to really just simplify it. You only need 2 major subscriptions, and then you just need to really know how to leverage those subscriptions and proceed from there. Obviously, there's going to be little use cases here and there that you actually do need an alternative AI tool, e.g. Cynthia, video creation. Can't really do that without that tool. So knowing that, make sure to leave a like if you felt you learned something. If you want to see a playlist here where I go over different AI tools that exist right now and I do in-depth tutorials, you can check it out at the end here. But without further ado, I'll see you in the next video.
Thanks for tuning in. And yes, surprise, I'm an AI avatar. Make sure to explore more here at Corbin AI, where we demystify AI for your personal and business life. Until next time.